Hi, I'm Nick Hayes, Product Owner with u-blox Services. For energy-constrained IT devices, features like PSM and EDRX seem like attractive options for achieving ultra-low power. But in a real-world network, it's a bit more complicated than that. In this quick video, I'll show you how u-blox MQTT Anywhere can be a key component for LPWAN power savings in a real-world scenario. So let's begin. With the LPWAN networks, there are two primary innovations which on paper make LTE-M a really attractive option for creating really extremely power efficient devices. These are PSM, power saving mode, and EDRX, extended discontinuous reception. We'll go into a bit more detail about what these are in a minute. In the real world though, when you're implementing these options, you need to be very careful about how you do it. Careful alignment is needed with these different configuration parameters. Timers and the paging cycle lengths are really critical to understand fully if you're going to ensure paging success by the network. The solution to these problems is IoT communication as a service. This service from u-blox solves the complexity that you would face in trying to configure these power saving modes by using the MQTT SM protocol to deliver ultra low power battery longevity. So let's take a look at PSM and EDRX. Power save mode effectively turns off monitoring of paging instances on the device, increasing the time periods of those devices sending area updates to the network. As a result of this, the device can save battery current drain by decreasing its signaling to the network, effectively entering a deep sleep hibernate mode to make the most efficient use of its battery life. EDRX allows the time interval when a device is not listening to the network to be extended further. And for an IoT application, it's often acceptable for that device not to be reachable for a few seconds, even longer sometimes. And so for some applications, EDRX might provide a good compromise between device reachability and power consumption. In addition to this, choosing the right communications protocol is really key. You can think of the communications protocol as a wrapper around a message that you want to send. In IoT devices, these messages are typically quite small. So imagine it's an invitation to a party. You can put this invitation into a little envelope and drop it in the post box. And this is what MQTT SN is like. Looking at other protocols, the overhead of that protocol becomes larger and larger until you look at something like HTTPS, which is the equivalent of dropping your party invitation into a shipping pallet. Getting the right communication protocol, reducing your overhead, gives you less time on air and longer battery life. So we've talked about MQTT. Why do we talk about this? Well, MQTT has become very widely adopted through the Internet of Things. In fact, it's one of the most popular communication protocols for machine-to-machine communications. It works on a publish and subscribe methodology whereby devices publish messages to an MQTT topic and other MQTT clients subscribe to those topics in order to receive the messages that they're interested in. This gives you really reliable, lightweight, bidirectional communications. MQTT SN, the sensor network derivative of MQTT, is further tailored to the needs of sensor networks and designed for devices which are operating in power and bandwidth constrained environments. IoT communication as a service from u-blox brings MQTT into a range of products, all put together with simple pay-as-you-go price plans, no fixed-term contract tie-ins, a single management portal to look after your whole fleet. It combines an enterprise-grade MQTT broker with u-blox's advanced data flow manager, which allows you to build logical data flows and enrich the IoT data that's coming in from your devices in the field for upstream systems. And it also provides simple integration into mainstream IoT and enterprise systems through a series of simple plugins. So let's have a look at PSM and EDRX in practice. In these tests, we used the SARA R510 LTE-M module. We had a 1.28 ampere hour battery, and we worked on the basis of a tracking device which would wake up every 10 minutes to check on the network for an alert. This being an alert telling the device to move from a kind of sleeping monitoring mode into an emergency tracking mode. Whenever an event is received from the network, the device then starts to send its location. We did these tests using the ThingStream MQTT Anywhere SIM card on the AT&T network in the US. And we saw that by using power save mode, having a cycle of every 10 minutes, we were able to achieve a battery life of just over 5 months. When we added EDRX into the equation, this increased even further to just under 5.5 months. So this is amazing, right? PSM and EDRX are the answers to all my problems. I can get over 5 months battery life using just PSM only and the MQTT Anywhere service from u-blox. And if I add EDRX, I get nearly 5.5 months. But are these really the answers to all the problems? With power save only mode, no messages sent in sleep mode will be delivered to the device. So PSM on its own is not suitable for this use case where the device is looking for a tracking event from the network. You also have to consider that PSM and EDRX are not always available on all networks. So unless you know exactly what network you're going to be operating on, it's impossible to properly configure EDRX. In our test, network buffered messages are only allowed up to 4 kilobytes. Any new messages after this buffer is full are discarded. And also, the messages that are kept for delivery are only kept for 4 EDRX cycles, after which all of those messages are discarded. So if you imagine the case where your device was tracking a pet, for example, and that pet had gone into somebody's garage and was not in coverage of the network, it could have been locked in there for a couple of hours while you've sent the emergency alarm to find out where your pet is. That message might actually never be delivered to the device. The device might never go into this emergency tracking mode. You also need to consider that the maximum buffer message size and the number of EDRX cycles that messages are kept for varies between networks. So again, unless you know exactly the network that you're going to operate on, it's impossible to properly configure these features. IoT communication as a service has the answer. It allows messages to be queued on the MQTT broker for delivery when the device wants to check in. It can be used together with PSM where PSM is available, and it's guaranteed to work no matter which network or which radio access technology you're using. If we look at how this converts to the battery lifetime on that device using that same SIM card and network, going on a completely cold boot with on-off cycles, so this is the modem completely powered off, booting up from cold and checking for messages on the MQTT broker, we're still able to achieve 3 months of battery life. Where power save mode is available, that increases up to just over 5 months. So the best use case for this is the power on-off cycles and PSM where it is available. So in conclusion, u-blox has a suite of IoT communication services utilizing the MQTT protocol. These are ideally suited for low-power IoT devices, and they help to solve the real-world network limitations of power save mode and EDRX. They enhance and complement the efficiencies of power save mode, delivering ultra-low power for battery longevity. It's efficient, it's lightweight, and really easy to implement. You can find out more by going to u-blox.com and searching for IoT communication as a service, or of course, reach out to the team at support@thingstream.io. Thanks for listening.